When you hear people saying, oh my gosh, this is the worst cold in my life, why is this happening? One of the theories could be that COVID-19 is causing immune dysregulation, and I just recently came across a paper that may be one of the most important papers that could be describing why this is happening. Here's the citation to the paper, and I'm going to try to explain it in a way that is easily understandable and take the highlights from it that talks about changes in your monocytes after COVID-19. Before we get into the meat of the paper, though, it's really important to understand that monocytes are an important part of your innate immune system as your first line of defense, and they differentiate into two different cell types, macrophages and dendritic cells, but they can go haywire and cause a lot of inflammation that can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks, strokes, and blood clots. I'm going to highlight two important points from this paper. So what they did was they took people who got mild or moderate COVID-19 and had blood samples within the first 2 weeks infection and compared that to healthy controls who did not get COVID-19. This figure behind me is looking at gene expression of those monocytes that we were talking about. And over here on the left, these are patients who had COVID-19. Here on the right is the healthy controls. These are the genes that they were looking at. And you can see that there's a significant difference in gene expression in those who had mild to moderate COVID-19 compared to healthy controls. See the color difference? That's kind of like a heat map. Now over here, here's the COVID-19 patients with other genes compared to here with the healthy controls. And some genes were actually downregulated. The researchers reported that those who had mild to moderate COVID-19, their monocytes switched to a pro-inflammatory phenotype, which can in the future increase the risk of developing cardiovascular disease and blood clots. So why is it that some people are having more nasty colds? Well, this is where the hypothesis really kicks in some of the findings that we see here. So in the column above and below me, we're seeing monocytes that are challenged with common cold viruses, versus here we're seeing a column of monocytes that were challenged with lipopolysaccharide, which is part of the bacterial cell wall. This white bar represents healthy individuals versus the blue ones are mild to moderate COVID-19. And you can clearly see that difference, much higher in the healthy controls versus those that had COVID-19. And what we're seeing is that there's less inflammation against common cold viruses and bacterial infections in those who got mild to moderate COVID-19 compared to those who were healthy controls. When we see headlines like this that make people feel badly for wearing masks, don't. Because you're doing the right thing to help protect you and other people from getting a virus that's not a respiratory virus. It's a vascular virus that can potentially impair your immune response. And that could make you sick for a long time to come.